I'm Jeneva Rose.
I'm Jim Rose. We live in Sherwood, Oregon.
I went and saw a neurologist and described everything. He did some kind of just tests and had me walk and all of that and said, well, there's definitely some weakness in your leg, but I've seen this before and I'm 99% sure that you don't have a brain tumor and you didn't have a stroke. But we could do an MRI to rule it out, but I'm really not worried. So I kind of went home, but I just had this nagging feeling, and I told all my family, and they thought it was crazy. I said, I have a brain tumor. And everyone said, why would you say that? And in my mind, it was that my foot was not doing what my brain was telling it to do, and there was nothing wrong with my foot, so there had to be something wrong with my brain. After the MRI, they would not let me leave the hospital. They admitted me straight up into a room. And so then I was informed that they had admitted me because I had a tumor, and it was a finger-like tumor encapsulated in a fluid-filled cyst. And so, like I said, they admitted me that night, held me because of the swelling in my brain. Kind of obviously my whole world changed. So they transported me to a manual where the neurosurgeon was there. And once I got there, he was much calmer and knew a lot more than this neurologist did, and said, no, basically said he overreacted. He could have sent you home. We do need to deal with this. We don't know what it is. Let's just, take it one step at a time. So I had the surgery. He removed everything he could see. So that was it. So the surgery was successful. Then I went ahead with 6.5, almost 7 weeks of radiation. And then, and during that, and I also started Temodar, the chemotherapy, during radiation. And then continued on with the Temodar for about 19 months, about 9.5 years. Every time it's like, everything looks good, you're doing good, no recurrences. However, from the very beginning, my attitude was, when I first had my oncologist in Portland, is, just all I want to know about odds or statistics is, have people survive this? Is it possible? That's all I want to know. I don't want to know the time frame. If someone can survive it, then I just have to be determined that that will be me.
Probably early 2004, we were on the other side of town here, and we came to a four-way stop, and there's a car across the intersection. And Jeneva says, "What is that?"
My eye for some reason.
I said, "Well, it's a VW thing." She's like, "What?" I said, "It's a thing." She's like, "I want one." Well, I would not describe Jeneva as a car person. I mean, you could send her outside to 4 different red vans and hopefully she'd get into one that is ours. But she became somewhat obsessed with this car and said, I want that as my trophy for beating cancer.
Went to the brain tumor walk and got pretty involved in that. And so we've just focused on that. And my thought is, I need this now for me. So I need to get involved and help raise this money and make sure, if this ever comes back for me, there's better treatment, there's a cure. We need to work towards that. So that's what we've gone on. Everything went great. We had our children. We have a wonderful family. And then about exactly a year ago, so it was about spring break, I was having some of the similar leg symptoms that I had the first time, just the minor, like I did a lot of Zumba and dancing again. And so that's how I would notice, like, something is not quite right. So I knew, I told Jim, this next MRI, there's going to be something there because it's not right. And so we went in, and sure enough, my tumor had recurred. So on May 1st last year, I had a second surgery to remove the new growth tumor. When I had the surgery, before I had the surgery, the surgeon told me that there was a 50-50 chance that I would get what's called sensory motor area syndrome, where I would wake up and my left arm and my left leg wouldn't work, but it would be okay because it would resolve itself without any therapy within between 4 hours and 28 days. So I woke up, couldn't move the left side of my body, wasn't too worried. However, it's now almost a year later, and I still am paralyzed on the left side. So that took a lot more adjusting than the first time. Additionally, with the recurrence, again, having the kids, it's been, I can't even tell you, 1,000,000 times more difficult just thinking about all the possible outcomes and what if this treatment doesn't work and what if it, the what ifs. And so I just have to try and really focus on okay, we can still beat this. But it has definitely been harder this time than the first time because it is a recurrence. It's like, okay, I made it 10 years. Is that is that it? Or, you know, how can I keep focusing forward that we're still going to get through another 10 and then another 10?
We're very fortunate to have not just our family, but we have so many friends that are nearby that have pitched in, and her coworkers and my coworkers have really helped out as we've tried to go through with this, particularly this second round. It has been more difficult, and it's been more difficult because it's not just the two of us taking care of each other. We now have the 2 little kids.
Are you Jaslyn?
Are you Jaslyn?
Or
No,
Janessa?
no.
Oh,
You're
who's
Janessa.
Janessa? She's Janessa and you're Jaslyn?
No, I'm Janessa and she's Jaslyn.
You sure?
And you're 3.
And she's 6.
I'm 6 and she's
You're the biggest 3-year-old I've ever seen in my life. You should enter yourself in a 3-year-old contest.
That's because I'm 6. She's 3.
I know. I remember what our team name is.
What?
It's Beavers and Roses.
No, it's Ducks and Roses.
Oh, how come?
Because we're duck fans and our last name's Rose.
That's right.
Yep.
So all of her growing up, you know, we've been very open. I mean, not very descriptive to what she wouldn't understand, but we always, you know, try and explain it in terms like, Mom, especially when we go to Relay for Life or the brain tumor walk. And what is this, Mom? Why are we going? Well, Mom had cancer and, you know, I had to have treatment. Now I'm better, but we do this to support that and support other people that have cancer, and some do well and some people don't do so well. So we just explained it at her level all the time, so she kind of grew up around it because we were so involved from the beginning of her life. And actually the greatest thing was at one of the walks, they brought out resources, and there was this little kids book about a dog with a brain tumor. And so we've read that to her, and the dog has radiation, and then I'll read it and say, I had radiation, you know, so she's grown up around it. So when it recurred, it was easy just to tell her, you know, when my youngest, she doesn't quite understand as well, but I think that's also good because when I was in the hospital in Seattle after my surgery, and a friend brought them up to see me, I was really worried that they'd be freaked out, and they were like, no, hi Mom, you know, no big deal.
Our littlest one told the daycare provider last week that when she grows up, she's going to be a doctor so she can make Mommy better. Part of why we wanted to be involved with the brain tumor walk is we want to see what we can do to help drive, frankly, dollars to research, because that research affects, hopefully, us directly, and everybody that follows behind us that ends up with a tumor.
I just feel like I had no choice. I couldn't just sit and wait and think about dying. I had to think, I just have to live, and like I said, think positively and think I'm going to be the one that beats this. And even now, it's like, even though it's harder, it's like, okay, I made it 10 years, I had treatment, let's just do all the treatment again, I can make it another 10 years, you know. You just have to think, why can't it be me? So I did beat the odds. I did have to, I mean, I think I have been an inspiration to other people by share, and that's why I share my story, because, you know, people look at my kids and think they're miracle kids, because who knew, you know, 10 years ago we would have had 2 kids. So you just have to focus on living and know that you can beat it, because people do.